for a second. When we were, during my year, which was 2012-13, the first year, the security question came up, and at that point, the CGJA was concerned about the security of Google Docs. But our computer person spoke to the CGJA, and they looked into it more, and I don't remember, was it you? Yeah, so it was Marcia, and decided that actually the way we were doing it was fine, and that's why we continued.
And it's interesting because it was actually Placer County's county council that originally said, you know, there's a real security issue here, and that's when you went to Centrex, which is a good option. But you know, it's like everything else. It's so hard to come up with a standard that's going to work in 58 different counties. And so it would be ideal, as Leslie recommended, to come up with some recommendation that would work for everyone. But you know, our experience is, and we tried it, we had a technology program for about 3 years as part of our training program for the grand juries. And it just was like things were either bouncing off the walls, not making sense to people, or we were way behind the times, you know, if there were tech people in our audience. So to make something work for every grand jury is really tough. But I think individual counties are coming up with their own answers, and what works in Santa Cruz County is going to be different than what works in Placer County or Orange County or anywhere else. But as long as each county works this out for themselves and gets it solved, it is something that needs to be done. But doing it on a statewide level, boy, I don't know. We kind of tried that.
Well, I guess I'm gonna sound like a broken record again, but if various chapters send some kind of write-up about what they're doing, like what Santa Cruz does, what Placer does, what Butte does, you know, anyhow, what their issues on technology, we can put that, basically group it together on the chapter resources page, so when a chapter decides to look at this in order to help their grand jury, they'll have a little bit of a shortcut in terms of knowing what has been tried and what the result was for other people. We can, that's something I think that we can definitely do. Sharing is a good thing, I think. Yes, sir.
Well, let me share an idea. First of all, I guess I want to support this kind of conversation. I agree. Technology really is potentially a very helpful tool in lots of ways, from report writing, but also I'd like to suggest one other area. Technical assistance, ongoing technical assistance for grand juries. Earlier today, we heard how difficult it was for a grand jury, and I can certainly tell you the one that I was foreperson for had real problems getting technical assistance when we needed it in a timely fashion. We had money in our budget, but the process for getting it through the county was so cumbersome it could not happen. So, let me just remind you or inform you that health services for a very long time has had the issue of how you give technical assistance and even direct clinical support to far-flung areas. And they actually do it quite well. But what it takes, in part, and I don't really know all of the ins and outs of it, is secure servers under the authority of a single agency that basically steps up for the security. That's something that the California Grand Jurors Association, in theory, could do and might want to consider doing.
don't know if this is on topic, Bob and Lisa from Contra Costa County. I'm on the juror training team, and as a result of that, I've been reading a lot of reports and looking at the Marin County reports and their podcasts. I would be very interested in finding out if we could get the persons or persons responsible for doing those podcasts to present to us as a group how that happened, how it worked, and the technicality behind it, because if you haven't had a chance to review them, they are excellent. And they really engage you, and I think they are probably the wave of the future. They've raised the bar for all grand jurors on how to create a summary that the jury can pass on to the general public in a very easy to follow manner. So I make that suggestion for our group to find out the whys and wherefores and how it was done, how much it cost, and what would be entailed in other people doing the same thing.
Okay, for those of you who don't know what Bob's referring to, in Marin County, the court actually supported creating a number of short videos, like about 2 minutes per report, I think, that briefly introduced a little bit about the court, but then gave a summary of a grand jury report given by a member of the grand jury. This is a public report, not beforehand, of course, and they are excellent. I don't remember off the top of my head the address for those reports, but
Marin Grand Jury, Google Marin Grand Jury.
Marin Grand Jury.
And it has podcasts underneath it.
Or you could just go up to YouTube directly and
They're really very good. Sir.
I guess I should explain. I'm Jack Dixon. I'm president of the chapter for Marin County, and I can tell you a little bit about what happened. We had the person who wanted to be foreman last year did so, and I would like to discuss that for just a moment, because I think judges should be encouraged to interview at least 3 people as foreman. Now, the fellow that wanted to be foreman and did so is definitely a very good technological person. He prepared the video with the judge. So there's not only a recruiting video, there is little podcasts, as you call them, for each report, which can be seen. So these were all very good things that he did. There were some other things that happened that weren't as good. For example, he didn't think the association, the chapter, was of any use. He has now gone on his way. He didn't stay on as a member at all. A little bit of arrogance, I think. But he did a great job on the video and the technology, so I would recommend him for that. And if there's some way to get him, he'll want to get paid. That's the trouble. He's out looking for a job now. You see, that's but anyway, he did a really good job on that stuff. Thank you.
Okay, Karen.
Sounds like we're winding up a skosh, so I have a couple questions before I lose my train of thought here. Is it possible on the website we could have a list of chapters and contact information who have active IRCs, or whatever you're calling implementation review committees? That way we could, maybe keep in contact. That would be my one request.
Well, what I hope to do in order to accomplish that is on the chapter resources page, have something from each chapter that has a program. But the chapter is going to have to contribute that. I'm not going to write it.
Okay, the other question I have is first, totally off topic. Everybody can change hats. My treasurer requested some training from CGJA for that position, or a published outline of the responsibilities for a chapter treasurer that have responsibilities and timelines, like federal and state tax filings, forms, deadlines, the annual renewal of the form RRF1, and he requested that a reminder be sent to either him or to the chapter president, like 60 days prior, so he doesn't miss a deadline of filing stuff. I couldn't find it on the chapter resource page if it's there.
No, it's not there now, but we do attempt to send that type of a notice.
Because I, as chapter president, I haven't gotten anything yet.
We send it in May. This one was sent.
Okay,
So one of the things you'll have to be very careful of is that the information on our website's up to date. So if you're looking at the chapter contact list and it's not accurate, get it to Rich so that we can change it. Every May, we send out, Finance Committee through the MRC sends out a reminder because we don't know when your fiscal year ends. Sometimes it's December, sometimes it's June. So we send out an annual reminder to those presidents, I believe.
We send it to the president unless we've got an email address for a treasurer that has been established. And if we have one of those established and it gets changed and we don't get told about it, we send it to the wrong place.
So your information and keeping us up to date is key to you receiving your reminder.
And Lloyd, if I could address the other part of that, we do have instructions step by step for all those tax filing forms. Unfortunately, I think we need to fix this. They are part of the chapter formation guideline.
Right.
And once you're already formed, you never go back and look at that again. So we should pull that out. Maybe it's something Finance Committee or MRC can do.
Okay, is Larry
Post
still
it
here?
separately.
Larry, you have a section on a new report that looks like it would be the ideal place to put just this information. The one about dues and tax status. So this is a public suggestion of where that might go.
Chapter resources, really is where it should go.
Yeah, I think that's where it goes, but as Marcia was just saying, we don't necessarily have things split out exactly the way that could be.
Yeah.
So definitely it's something we can add to the website improvement list, and, you know, as soon as we get it on the list, the sooner it'll get implemented.
How do we get it on the list? Is it on the list now that we brought it up?
It is not on the list yet.
Do I need to send you an email?
Yeah, typically send me an email is the best way, because that way I'll assure you that an email that comes into me gets on a list of website activities.
Okay. Mine to do. Okay. Moving